My name is Terri Welk. I've been here a few times, so most of you probably have talked or heard me speak before, but today I'm here to hopefully Don Milam and Corey Booth, who were here last week, to represent the concerns about the Camp Branch Marina. I'm hoping they will be channeled through me today because they were extremely articulate last week in their presentations that they brought to the commission. Very professional in their presentations, and I'm hoping that I can do them justice to represent their concerns. I'm here as a fellow slipholder. We have issues at Subo Cove, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. One of the things that I noticed in the presentation that these folks just did about the balloon festival that they're hoping to bring to Clay County, which sounds really cool, very exciting to me, is I hear a theme of guaranteeing excellence and having one chance to make that first impression. We're talking about people that have been paying the county money every day for the slips that we have at Subo Cove, and we don't see a lot of when we have concerns about services that are being provided. We're not getting a real good first impression. I mean, we're way past first impressions. We're willing to continue paying for the services, and we're just not getting those services. Some of the things I'd like to bring to your attention is it's my understanding that there's, we owe a big thank you for the walkways temporary walkways that have been installed at Camp Branch. I know the people that were able to get to their boats safely last weekend are very happy about that, so kudos to whoever made that happen. However, there's still a lot of safety issues that Don and Corey brought to your attention last week that still remain unfinished business. And that's what I'm here to talk about. There are still holes in the walkway tiles, still aerators on the docks. These are things that Don, and I don't believe Corey had pictures, but Don had pictures of last week that he presented to the commission, and I think those were provided to you. There are still big chunks of concrete on the walkways. These are things that really shouldn't take that much time to fix. It's my understanding that the county is hiring temporary help. I think they go through a temporary service for their staffing needs, or at least some of their resource needs. Why aren't we hiring additional people to address these immediate issues? We're talking about things that could probably be addressed in a day, just at Camp Branch, maybe just a few hours if we just had the resources assigned and focused on addressing those issues. Also, the cable restraint system, that might be a little bit more involved as far as how much time it takes to fix that. But what's being done about that? We're just one storm away from this same thing happening again at Camp Branch, at Little Platte, perhaps over at Smithfield Lake. We've got buoys that hold sailboats that weigh 2 tons. I mean, ours weighs 2 tons. I'm sure there's more that are heavier than ours. We're not at a mooring ball, but those mooring balls are known to break away. And now you've got a boat that costs, a couple bucks, floating around out there in the dock unsecured because these mooring balls are not being maintained. We've got huge docks with lots and lots of weight at those docks not being maintained. That's a big safety issue, and it's just another accident waiting to happen. How long is it going to take to fix these things? Why are we not getting? We are now, tomorrow will be 4 weeks since this storm happened, and all we have, or I shouldn't say all we have, we are very thankful that there are temporary walkways at Camp Branch, and it's my understanding that water was recently restored, but we still don't have electricity at those docks other than just the generators that are, a little bit cumbersome to wheel around, and there's only so many to go around. But last week, I think I remember Don Milam actually offering to write the check for the electricity to be restored. This gentleman is already paying $2,000 and maybe more per year for his slip. He's offering to write another check for whatever it is. I think $700 was an estimate that he had received from an electrical contractor. He was willing to write the check for that. And actually, there's people, I think, on the dock that are, certified electricians that are willing to help with this. Why aren't we taking advantage of this gentleman's offer? If it's money, Don's already offered to write the check for it. So if it's just resources, why don't we hire temporary staff? Why don't we get contractors in here to fix these things? It is boating season, guys. We're like 2 weeks from today is Memorial Day. If you're a boater, that is the kickoff to your summer. I mean, if you're not able to access your boat safely, if you don't have electricity to be able to keep your bilge pump running, because if you have a big storm and you have a scupper that fills up, which is something that keeps the water draining off of your boat, if that fills up, gosh, I've seen boats sink at our dock because the bilge pump wasn't running, because the electricity had been unplugged from that particular dock, from that particular boat. But this is like an entire dock with, you know, lots of boats there that need to have a bilge pump running to keep those boats from either going underwater to an unsafe condition or totally sinking. Another issue is some of these boats sit on what they call a hydro hoist. I don't know how many of our boaters here are familiar with that, but a hydro hoist basically lifts the boat up out of the water so it doesn't get the constant grunge and the constant, you know, movement, so they can safely get their boat in and out of the water. Guess what? That requires electricity. You can lower it without electricity, but if you want to get your boat back on the hydro hoist and lift it back up out of the water, no can do. You've got to have electricity to do that. So these are just basic services that people expect if they're paying $2,000 a year to keep their slip in a hole in the water, basically. These are vacation homes for some of these people. They come on Thursday or Friday night. They're there till late Sunday night. Their home is not accessible. Their home cannot be supported in the manner that you would expect. If you had storm damage at your house, you would expect, you know, insurance adjuster to be out there to see what's going on. What can we do to get this fixed temporarily, and what can we do to get this fixed for a long-term solution? Other items that are major concerns for these larger boats, some of these guys have battery packs. I was educated this morning on this, so you know I may not have it totally correct, but a little education for me was kind of eye-opening. These guys have battery packs that are like 6 batteries. We're talking like $1,000 for like 6 batteries on these boats. It's my understanding if they cannot keep them charged, which again requires that electricity, there's a fire hazard. There are flame detection systems on these, you know, they're not mega yachts, guys, but I mean, they're pretty nice boats. They're homes for these people. They have flame detection. It'd be like not having a fire alarm or a smoke detector in your house. These guys have subsystems that require electricity for them to know when there's a danger of a fire. If you have a fire on one of those boats down there on the dock because there's no electricity, wow, you've got lots of problems. A lot more problems than you do right now. So just kind of wanted to educate you guys about that. I was not aware of that. I do know about the bilge pump issue because I know, like I said earlier, we have had boats sink at our dock. We've got one in the water right now. I'm not sure why, but it's still sunk over at Sailboat Cove. But you know, you get a boat that's sunk in the water. We have, you know, it's a major thing to get those boats raised again out of the water. Not to mention that you have hazardous material now in the water. You've got diesel or gasoline or whatever those people have on their boats. It's now floating around in Smithville Lake that we want to keep safe for people to be able to swim in. You know, it's just, you know, it's boating season, guys. You know, you want to attract tourists. We need to make sure that the first impression for people that hopefully come up for this balloon fest, when they come to Smithville Lake, they see, wow, these marinas are awesome. You know, I want to bring my boat there. I want to get on that waiting list to pay the county some money so I can come up here every day and have fun, just like these people at these marinas. But again, they're not being provided the services. One last thing that Dawn asked me to mention is the situation with their boats is getting to be pretty critical, especially because they have concerns about their boats and these fire hazards. Some of these people need to have electricity restored and need to be told when it's going to be restored so they can make a decision about if they're going to pull their boat from the lake and even put it in temporary storage, which would mean the county would need to, hopefully, because the lack of their attention to address the matter, provide them some place to store their boats until this electricity is restored, because they are putting their property at risk by not having electricity at that dock and keeping their boats there. So they need to either take it to another facility, which I know none of you want to happen, because that means loss of revenue come June 30th when we write the check for the slipping fees for the next 6 months. That's not that far off. I can guarantee you people that are not able to use their boats on Memorial Day weekend are going to think twice about whether they want to write that check June 30th, and that's going to be a big impact to the county budget. Again, what I wanted to mention was that there are 4 weeks, again, as of tomorrow, it'll be 4 weeks since this storm happened. The only things that we've had addressed are the walkways have been restored and the water has been restored. Electricity is a big deal, guys. From a boater's viewpoint, one of the other electricity concerns is if you go out on your boat at night, when you come back into the dock, it's really nice to have a light on the dock. If there's no electricity, there's no light to show you how to get into your boat slip. One thing that the county may want to consider is installing perhaps solar lights. Gosh, that would be a green way to do things, but then we wouldn't be quite so tied to electricity just for lighting the docks, lighting the walkways. We do have solar lights over on Sailboat Cove, the ramp down to our docks that was replaced because of storm damage, etc. several years ago. We do have solar lights. Those are awesome. What a great idea. That way we wouldn't be quite so tied to that. But when I talked to Don this morning, he said, those of you who don't have a boater's viewpoint, we are all willing to take you out for a nice sunset, cruise on the lake and see what it is like to come in to the dock at night with aerators on there to kind of get around. You better have your flashlight with you. You're going to trip on that. You may fall through one of those concrete holes in the concrete tiles. I mean, guys, we do have safety issues. There's really no reason that these things should not be getting addressed. Fortunately, we are forming an alliance between slip holders at Camp Branch, Sailboat Cove, and Little Platte. We all have very common concerns. We share the same interest with you. We want our facility to be top-notch. We want to be proud of where we go and play every weekend, every weeknight that we can possibly get out there. We want it to be the best that there can be. So we're just asking for your attention to the issues that we continue to bring to your focus, and I hope there's some resolution where people can actually use their boats safely. And again, the offer stands. If anybody wants to go out for a boat cruise, we got power boats, we got sailboats, we got every kind of flavor of boat you can imagine. We are willing to give you that experience so you understand why we are so passionate about this facility. Thank you for your time.
By the way, thank you very much for bringing this up last week. I know that there was a presentation made, again, under this heading on the agenda. And unfortunately, I was having a lot of trouble hearing, and I got dropped a couple of times, so I appreciate you bringing this back up again, because like I say, in fact, I was, one of the things I was going to try to get done the next day or two was to contact you and some of the others and say, okay, so tell me what all I missed in the last meeting, because I need to be aware of this. I think one of the things I'd like to do, and while I appreciate the offer for a cruise, I think it would be more instructive if I could come up there and you could show me some of the things that you had concerns about. Mr. Administrator, if you could give me at some point some kind of update on where we are. I realize that we've in the past had some issues with giving assignments and duties. Is this something that you feel you can do for me?
What specifically are you asking for, Commissioner?
What kinds of repairs are going to be affected? The things that she had outlined, when do you anticipate being able to deal with them?
We can actually give you some updates now if you want to have the comment.
I don't, we can either have them now, which would probably be helpful for Mrs. Welk and anyone else who's interested, but I think what I would like is if you could kind of just give me that in writing so that I've got something a little bit more tangible and I don't need to take notes. So if you could give us kind of maybe an overview and then provide some more detail on what it is you're looking at doing. And clearly I do, let me caveat that by saying if you say we plan to have electricity restored on a certain day, it's not my intention to say if that date passes and it's not done. This is not some attempt to play gotcha. What this is some idea of what a general timeline is. So believe me, I totally understand that life does not operate on a fixed schedule. On the other hand, I think having some idea of what that schedule is anticipated being is extremely helpful to make sure that we're all accountable for what we need to accomplish. So if you could address some of the issues that Mrs. Welk brought up, and then give me some idea, well, and the other commissions too. I don't mean to be selfish here. If they are interested in also getting that information, perhaps sharing it among the commissioners. Like I say, I realize that's kind of a task, and I don't know that I have consensus to put that task upon you.
Actually, Commissioner, since Ms. Welk is here, and she was here last week, I think it might be good for our staff to give a verbal update so that she can hear it as well, what the verbal update is, and if you want something in writing or later, we can talk about that, but I mean, there was quite a discussion here this week and last week. I know our staff's been working on it, so tell us what it is.
Sure, be glad to. Keep in mind, Commissioners, staff has spent many hours in preparation of this agenda, so we're fully prepared to discuss everything that is on the agenda today. We are somewhat at a disadvantage when these new issues pop up. However, I do know that I had 2 assistant county administrators meet with the slip holders, I believe, on Friday. I don't think Ms. Welk was at that meeting, but I could be wrong.
I was not made aware of the meeting.
Okay. As my understanding, it was with slip holders, so I would defer to, again, Nicole Brown, the Assistant County Administrator for Public Services, for some remarks. But with the caveat, Commissioners, we might not have everything with us today because, it was not specifically an agenda item, but we'll do our best to bring you up to date.
Well, I do want to do before you proceed, Ms. Brown. I do want to make the point that we realize that there are some limitations, and that along with yourselves, we also are open to the public when we open ourselves up for public comment. We cannot necessarily know what's going to be coming up, so it is part of our duty as public officials to do the best we can. And I do appreciate the fact that while you cannot be totally prepared for every contingency, certainly an update. And that was why I was asking for something in writing, because quite honestly, apart from making sure that my own notes are not faulty, it was also a way to allow you more time to make a more thoughtful presentation than something rather impromptu. So that was what was motivating that request.
Thank you for your consideration.
Ms. Brown, please proceed.
Assistant County Administrator for Public Services, Nicole Brown. I wanted to give you an update. Tomorrow will actually be 3 weeks out, not 4, from the incident on April 26th. That morning, 65-mile-per-hour straight line winds struck Camp Branch at Smithville Lake. 2 of our docks were actually removed from the shoreline. In reference to some of the claims that have been made by some people, we have recently passed an audit from Missouri Water Patrol as well as the Army Corps of Engineers.
When was that audit done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We don't have our official report back yet, but none of these items were mentioned. I would be happy to provide it to you when it's complete.
That would be great.
Yes. So, no deficiencies such as what the slip holders have brought up were mentioned during those audits. Going back to the incident, we cannot control the weather. We cannot plan for every contingency, as you mentioned. I would like to say that we've been working very closely with our insurance company as well as other vendors to make sure that we do everything necessary to make sure that this major claim is covered. Otherwise, the county would incur additional expenses, and I would need to have to report to you about that in public if we have not done everything that the insurance company told us to. Among those things, we have to get a second estimate on the damage. Until we get that second estimate, there are not a lot of options for us to do the repair of the dock. In the meantime, we did install temporary walkways as soon as our insurance company had an engineer walk through the property. We could not remove the damage until that point. Within 48 hours, we had installed temporary walkways and temporary handrails after that inspection from the insurance company. We are working as quickly as possible. One thing that I would urge members of the public and our customers to do is contact our park staff if they see things that are urgent fire hazards. Some of these things are reported on Facebook and in the public meeting when, if it is an urgent matter, we would like to know right away so that we can address it. I'm certainly happy to address it at this point. But if this was known for several days, I wonder if my staff had not been informed. I've provided my cell phone number to several people that have voiced concerns. I'm available by text. I was texting yesterday with a slip holder who wanted to meet with me on Sunday. I was unable to. That's a partial day of rest. But I made myself available by phone. If there were urgent matters, that slip holder never responded. That slip holder was Don Milo. Again, we're doing everything that we can. If you have specific questions, if I can answer them today, I would be happy to. But I do want to make sure that I provide provide complete and accurate information for the commission.
One of the things that seems like on the electricity, you know, do you have any idea about when electricity may be installed or anything like that?
It could be post Memorial Day, or where vendors have told us. The reason is in order to do a full repair of the dock and keep our electrical lines up to code. And again, I'm speaking on an area that I don't have a great deal of familiarity. It will take that long to get the parts and install them. If we were to install temporary electric, I'm not sure that we can guarantee it would be up to code, and it would have to be ripped back out on completion of the dock repair and reinstalled at additional cost to the county. We are getting price quotes on that because the slaveholders have said that they would like to do this.
I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I was just acknowledging that we had someone else who wanted to speak. Are we finished for the moment, Ms. Brown?
Sorry, Commissioners. Kip Jones, Interim Assistant County Administrator of Facilities. Just want to speak to the electricity a little bit. After the electrician showed up and started pulling out the electrical, there were some code deficiencies that were noticed. So that's why we're waiting on some parts. We had an electrical engineer out that some of the code requirements had changed. So there were some extra things that we were having to do, and that's part of the delay as well.
So really, some of that was non-storm related in that because we had to do something with the electricity, it was then required to bring us up to its current code standards.
Yes, this was
And
done.
they were in code when they were installed.
Yes, this was done under a previous code, and then now there's some extra things that we have to do that are safety related, that we can't just put it back the way it was.
Clearly, and once again, I want to reiterate, the reason I want to get some kind of, and it doesn't have to be greatly detailed, but some kind of written explanation was because we are talking about issues that have some complexity to them. I realize that upgrading to be under current codes is something that may or may not have been anticipated at that time when you're in the midst of an emergency, but I think it is something that, like I say, I would like to be a little bit more up to speed on and a little bit more current on. And I don't need to be so deep in the weeds that I know what gauge wiring we're using. Don't get me wrong, I don't need that level of detail, but clearly members of the public will approach members of the commission and want to know, and will have these legitimate questions. And I think it's very necessary for we as commissioners to be as reasonably up to speed as practical on this sort of thing. So that's another part of the rationale behind getting this report. And as I said, I've been away for 2 weeks and not been in as close communication as I would like to be. And in fact, when this issue was raised last week in public comments, I was only able to hear very cursory parts of it, and was hoping this week to get more up to speed and more current on what the discussion was and what concerns were raised by the public, because clearly at the end of the day, we are here to serve the public.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the opportunity to set the record straight on 2 items.
And Commissioner,
yes.
Lori Portwood, Assistant County Administrator, Finance and Administrative Services, just to let you know, to reiterate regarding the insurance company. The insurance company was responsive in sending in a claims adjuster coming out immediately. Because of the amount of storms that had come through the area, they had to bring in additional claims adjusters from the St. Louis area. They came out, they realized very quickly that this was going to be a major claim and possibly involving an engineer. So approximately 3 to 4 days after the first adjuster came in, then a second major claims adjuster came in, as well as an engineer. And it was on the holiday that we recently had for Truman. And they did make an assessment of it. They are asking that we get a second bid on it. We've only gotten one so far, and that's what we're working on.
The other thing that I would like just an update on is there was some mention about holes in walkways and that sort of thing. If when you, as I say, could give myself and the other commissioners clearly some kind of an update on that, I would like a specific. I would like it specifically to deal with some of the immediate safety issues. I think we can all understand the things like restoring electricity and trying to be up to code and all that, but I think one of our first obligations is to ensure safety, so that if you could give myself and the other commissioners some idea of how, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot because I realize it's a little bit of an issue that's come out of left field for you at the moment, but I would like to have some feel for the idea of what we're doing to make sure that the lake is indeed safe and that some of the safety issues that were expressed can be dealt with in the short term. So, and again, I'm asking this, and I'm not expecting a specific answer at this moment because I don't think that would be particularly fair. But once again, as we three commissioners are out there and we are asked legitimate concerns by members of the public, we need to have enough information to at least give a very broad answer. And then I think members of the public understand when they ask us, very specific questions, that it is legitimate for us to be able to go back to staff and get specific answers to address that, but we do need to have some broad knowledge of this so that we can at least give them some answer in general. Again, going back to staff on anything that might be a particular incident. Like I say, I think most members of the public understand that is a reasonable thing for us to do. If we get back with them in a timely manner, I don't think that causes any problems. Any comment, Mr. Fisherman? Mr. Ridgway, to step out for a moment. Did that conclude everything that you wanted to say?
Yes, actually, the only question
Oh, okay, please use the microphone.
if we could be made aware of, what is the proper way to notify you of issues in writing, et cetera? Phone call, who do we call? Is there like a maintenance line that we call? Because I think at one point when Donna Coons was in one of the administrative positions, I thought there was a number that we called. I don't have it with me, of course, but the experience I had when I did make a phone call is the people answering the phone were like, what is this about? So, whatever it is we're supposed to do, we are willing to do it. In writing, Facebook is really not the best way because not everybody is a Facebooker, myself included. So, we have some people that are not, online all the time like some people are, but, we need to know what is that process and how are we notified when progress is made. So that's all I ask.
Assistant Administrator, if you have the contact information, I realize this is an imperfect communication vehicle for it, but if you have the phone number that someone who does have concerns might contact us at, that would be great if you can just kind of give that out. Now that it's part of the record, and that's at least one way to get that word out so that you are made aware and staff is made aware of the issues as soon as possible.
Okay. The email address is parks@claycountymo.gov. The parks phone number is 816-407-3400. Again, the email is parks@claycountymo.gov. The phone number 816-407-3400.
Thank you very much. That helps to have that out there as frequently as possible. And is that on our website as well? Okay. So it would also appear, just in case the assistant administrator said yes, that is, the information is also available on our website. So anybody who has issues that they feel they need addressed, please contact us on those two venues, or of course, however they can. Any other public comments on non-agenda items?